Today we're going to practice factoring trinomials. When the lead coefficient a is not equal to 1, we're going to go through these steps, checking for the greatest common factor, splitting the middle terms, factor by grouping, and checking your factors. So let's get started. First off, what is factoring a trinomial mean? Well, I'll show you something. Factoring is, suppose we said the number 15, two factors are 3 times 5. There's also 1 and 15. What two numbers multiply together to equal 15? 3 and 5. Well, we're going to be taking a trinomial and factoring it into two binomials. So let's work backwards. Suppose we have the binomial x plus 2. Why is it a binomial? Because it has 1, 2 terms, and x minus 3. Let's multiply these together. I'm just going to use the box method because it's what I prefer. You could use FOIL or distributive method. So x plus 2 and x minus 3. So multiplying these together, you have x squared, 2x, x times negative 3 is negative 3x, and minus 6. You add the similar terms, so this is equal to, there's an x squared. These two combine to minus x, and then minus 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from left to right. We're going to start with a trinomial with 1, 2, 3 terms and factor it into two binomials. So let's get started. Let's start with this one right here. Let's start with x squared, 2x squared, plus x. Oh my goodness, let's just erase that. My mouse and I are not doing very well. Okay, minus 21. Now, this is in the form of ax squared, I'm putting it down here, plus bx plus c. A is the first number 2. It's not equal to 1. We're just doing the ones where a is not equal to 1 today. A is not equal to 1, so what you first do is you take your a times your c and multiply them together. That is 2 and negative 21. That's negative 42. Now we have to figure out what two numbers multiply to negative 42 and add to 1. Well, I like to go really slowly with this, so I always go through starting with the lowest numbers, so I go with 1 and 42. For this to be true, 1 has to be positive and 1 has to be negative. The difference has to be 1. So this is just way too far. So let's go to the next number that goes into 42, just 2 and 21. That is not going to work. 3 and 14. That difference is not big, is too big. 4 doesn't go into it evenly, neither does 5, but 6 does. 6 and 7. Great. 1 has to be positive, 1 has to be negative. Well, this would be the negative because that adds up to 1 and multiplies to negative 42. Now we're ready to split the middle term. So you bring down the first term. I guess I could just bring it over here a little bit better. So just bring it directly down. 2x squared. And then I usually make this thing right here because I'm splitting the middle term. This is equivalent. So I'm going to have a minus 6x plus 7x. So I just took these numbers, negative 6 and 7, but I had to put an x with them because then it does add up to 1x. And then bring down the net less term, minus 21. Now the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the greatest common factor only of the first two. So I put a little line under these to remind myself. What number goes into both of these? 2 does. And then we have the x squared and the x. You take the lower power of these exponents. X squared is actually to the x is actually to the first power. This is the second power. 1 is lower, so it's 2x. And then I say 2x goes into 2x squared x minus 3. And this is where mine's a little bit different than the way they teach in the lessons. Is instead of taking the greatest common factor out of here, I just copy it. It has to be the same. So I just over here x minus 3. And then I look outside and I'm missing a 7. And then I check. 7x minus 21. Yes, that's going to work. Now it's understood that there's a plus here. And then I combine. I take the numbers that are outside of the parentheses and put them together. 2x plus 7 times x minus 3. because in this last step what I'm really doing is this is my greatest common factor, x minus 3. Now I'm going to check my answer. How am I going to check it? I'm going to use the downloaded version of Geogebra. I'm loading it right now. And instead of the app, I usually downloaded for this, even though I do a lot of my videos use the app because I love the app. But I'm going to use the CAS view, and the CAS view I really like in the downloaded version. So I'm going to go to View, CAS, and then I'm going to go up here. I'm just going to collapse this a little bit and check my answer. I'm going to do it two ways. I'm going to start with my trinomial, 2x squared plus x minus 21. Well, I just want to let you know, I could have used the FOIL or box method to multiply this out, but I'm not going to do it that way. And I'm going to hit factor. There's a factor button, and I can't see it, so let's go see if this is the same factor. So this actually opens up. So this is equal to x minus 3 times 2x plus 7. It works perfectly. I could go the other way around and do x minus 3 times 2x plus 7 and hit enter, and it is that trinomial. Awesome. So let's do another one. And we're going to do one this time where we're going to take out the greatest common factor. So let's work on that one now. So let's try, I'm trying to think of one to do. Okay, here we go. 4x squared minus 6x minus 10. Well, 2 goes into all of these. So I'm going to say this is equal to 2. And then I have 2x squared minus 3x minus 5. Then I have the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So first step is you take the first number, which is a, and then the last number, multiply them together. That's negative 10. What two numbers multiply to negative 10 and add to negative 3? Well, we have 1 and 10. Whether one, which is positive or negative, doesn't matter right now at this point for me. The difference isn't 3, so it's not going to work. 2 and 5. Yes, this is it. This would be the negative one because that adds to negative 3 and multiplies to negative 10. So now we're ready for our next step. So this is equal to, we're going to bring down the 2. And now we're going to bring down the first term, 2x squared. We're going to split the middle term into two, so it's going to be equivalent. And I'm going to have plus 2x minus 5x. And then bring down the last term, minus 5. So these two add up to this middle one. It's working great. So this is equal to 2. Now I'm going to look at these two numbers. What goes into both of them? 2 does. What's the lowest power is x. So this goes into it, x plus 1. Almost made a mistake there. And copy it. Right here, don't even think, just write x plus 1. Well, always think, but that's what you should be thinking of. All right, outside of here, you look and you say, oh, I need a negative 5. Check it. Always check. Minus 5. X minus 5. Perfect. So the last step is to remember these guys combine. And now we're ready for our last step. I'll put it in black. This is equal to 2, parentheses. I'm having a mouse day. Okay, 2x minus 5. X plus 1. Now we're ready for the best part, is to check our answer. Let's start with our trinomial, 4x squared minus 6x. Move that mouse, 6x minus 10. And then we're just going to do the factor button. And I got 2x plus 1 and 2x minus 5. Yay, I got it right. Okay, and let's just try going the other direction. 2, and then mine says 2x minus 5. So we'll do it the way I had factored it, and then x plus 1. So we have these two binomials with the greatest common factor. Enter is 4x squared minus 6x minus 10. Excellent. So let's try one more. Our last one that we're going to do today is going to be prime. Let's see what that means. So let's try our last one, which is going to be 2x squared. And I think these are so much fun. I think it's because of the Geogebra to check the answer. I think that's really fun because then I could check it. All right, so there's no greatest common factor, and the lead coefficient is not 1. So now we take a and c and multiply them together and put them over here, 18. This is a positive number, so the factors are either both positive or both negative. So let's see, 1 and 18. 2 and 9. Nope, the difference isn't 2, or it doesn't add up to, actually not difference, it doesn't add up to 2, and 3 and 6. Whether these two are both positive or 2 negative does not work, so the answer is prime. So let's go see what happens if I put this into Geogebra, because I always like to see what would happen, okay? 2x squared plus 2x plus 9. I'm going to hit the factor button, and it comes back because there's no factors. It doesn't have something where it says it's prime. Now let's just see what it looks like if we graph it. All right, so if I go to graph it, I get, and we're going to have to change it into a function. So I'm going to say, I think I actually could just write it as is, 2x squared, because it's going to say f of x is equal to this, plus 2x plus 9. It's going to turn it f of x is equal to this function, and look it doesn't cross the x and y, the x-axis, right? It does not cross through. That's because there are solutions for x, but for this function, but it's going to involve imaginary numbers and the quadratic equation, which we're going to do later. But I also feel like we should go back to one of the other functions that we did, the other trinomials, and show that they do cross through. So let me just go back and try one of the other ones, which I have written down here. So I'm just going to write down g of x is equal to, let's do the first one, 2x squared. I got to get to the squared button. 2x squared plus x, this is the first one, minus 21. This is going to cross through, and it's going to cross through at these points. And these points have something to do with why we were factoring these into two binomials in the first place, which we will learn at a later time. And I'm glad, but the focus of this video was to learn how to split the middle term, and to, let me go back to my class thing right here. We check the greatest common factor, split the middle term, factor by grouping, and check your factors. So there's a lot more to learn. Every day I'm finding there's more and more stuff to learn, but it is exciting, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.